What's up, everybody? Coach Mel's here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video, and in this video we gotta talk about a ton of agent changes, like an absolute metric F ton of agent changes. There are changes to Breach, Cypher, Fade, Omen, Phoenix, Raze, Killjoy, Sage, Viper. I mean, come on. There are even weapon changes as well. I mean, there's just a lot we gotta freaking talk about. Riot is pulling out the big guns, literally, and yeah, there are some big changes coming, so we're gonna break them all down. Do me a huge solid and smash that like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and go check out the Gameplay website for tips, tricks, guides, and everything you need to climb to Immortal as quickly as possible. And let's get right into the video. It's almost like Riot actually heard us complaining a little bit about Valorant getting kind of stale, and they just like threw a million curveballs, because we just heard about the map rotation with Split returning and Bind and Breach leaving, but now we get all these agent changes. But let's first start with some of the minor changes. Breach ultimate points increased from 7 to 8. Cypher trapwire health increased from 1 to 20, so it's not gonna die to like little tiny smecks of damage. The Fade's Prowler health decreased from 100 to 60. The Omen Paranoia cost decreased from 300 to 250, and the Phoenix Blaze cost decreased from 200 to 150. Now this is actually really interesting, a lot of these changes. Paranoia is a very powerful ability, and the fact that it's getting cheaper is just good overall for the character that really wants to buy this almost every single round. Phoenix's Blaze cost getting decreased is good. It's not quite as good as if his curveball was decreased, because that would really change how pistol round is played, but still, some slight buffs to this powerful ability is definitely going to be felt. Fade's Prowler health decreased is going to be a really big thing that you need to take note of, because Prowler is really annoying sometimes, is coming after you, especially on those pistol rounds, or if you're trying to conserve your ammo and you shoot it once or twice and it doesn't freaking die, and that can be pretty frustrating. So these are some changes that are nerfing the power level of Prowler, the most powerful ability on Fade's kit. And then Breach is just getting a really minor nerf to his ultimate, but yeah, with him creeping up in the pick rate, I think that that's probably fine. Now I did mention that those are the minor changes, because there's some bigger changes. First off, let's talk about Yoru. His gate crash health decreased from 100 to 60, and cost decreased from 200 to 150. So that's still a rather small change to a character. But next up we have Raze, who got quite a few changes. We have her Boombot health decreased from 100 to 60, and her Blast Pack health increased from 1 to 20. So just slight increases in the health of the Blast Pack, so it's less likely to die to just random trickle damage, but it could still be destroyed rather easily. And the fact that the Boombot has less health is actually a really big deal. Like, just very similar to Fade's Prowler, it seems like they are trying to reduce the health of a lot of these destroyables and make them a little bit simpler to deal with, especially on that first pistol round. Now, Sova's Recon Bolt health increased from 1 to 20, so it's gonna be less likely that this Recon Bolt just dies to some of that trickle damage again, but any deliberate shooting of the Recon Bolt will still kill it. Same way with Blast Pack, same way with Cypher's Tripwire. Now next up, we gotta talk about even more agent changes. First off, Sky's Trailblazer cost increased from 250 to 300, and Sky Regrowth cost decreased from 200 to 150. So the dog is gonna cost a little bit more, but healing your teammates up is gonna be a little bit less, and this is gonna allow different opportunities in the kit. And I wouldn't necessarily consider this a buff or a nerf, just kind of a mix-up and a rebalance of the character. But you tell me, you Sky mains, what do you think about this slight price increase and decrease? Then next up we got Killjoy. Lockdown health increased from 150 to 200, so it's gonna take a little bit more to actually break the lockdown. And the Nanoswarm health increased from 1 to 20. Once again, these little tiny destroyables are not gonna be able to be destroyed by a tiny bit of trickle damage or like static damage. But if you intentionally shoot it with basically anything, it's gonna die. So yeah, that's the big difference here. Next up, we gotta talk about Sage changes. So first off, the wall fortified delay has been increased from 3 seconds to 3.3 seconds. So that's the time frame it takes for the wall to become full health. During that period where you could actually burst it down, it's gonna be a little bit easier to burst down right when it's risen up. And I think this is actually most important now that Split is coming back, right? Because that's really where Sage shines. Being able to wall off that midpoint and then having players want to break through that wall. So it seems very targeted to that map coming back. Next up is Healing Orb. We will now only self-heal for 30 HP instead of 60 HP. And Healing Orb will now heal for 100 HP to allies instead of 60. So more ally heal, less individual heal. This is interesting. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. I don't really like just healing yourself for 30. It means that it's almost never worth it to heal yourself unless you have no other options. And it's almost always worth it to save heal for an ally, which to me just kind of limits what Sage can do. It puts her really in a very support-esque category, a support-esque role, which I would prefer a Sage to be more flexible and be able to take the fight in their hands. But if you're knocked down to 20 HP, are you really going to heal yourself for 30, or are you going to give it to another ally that is knocked down to 30, 20, 10 HP? It makes a lot more sense to heal them. And Riot still gives you the decision, but most of the time, healing yourself is going to be the bad one, unless you're like really far away from your team and you're going to be able to get it back up. So I don't know. You tell me how you feel about this. Do you ultimately not care, or do you think that it's a big deal? I want to hear your opinions, Sage mains. The next up, we got to talk about Viper. So smoke integrity regen time from 5 seconds to 25 seconds. Max time out of smoke decreased from 15 seconds to 8 seconds. Ultimate points required 7 to 8. Now, this is really a big change to Viper's ultimate because you're gonna have a lot harder time to play out of your smoke. Sure, you could strategically push out of it at key moments, but it's not like you're gonna be able to lurk outside your smoke in post-plant for a very long time. And oftentimes, Vipers got to really control post-plant if they got the spike down and they ulted, and they were ever in like a 1v1 or even a 1v2, it was very hard for them to lose unless the enemy played perfectly. And in a 1v1, it's almost impossible to win against a Viper if she plays properly, because towards the time frame when an enemy had to push in and tap the spike, the Viper could just play outside of the smoke, and you would have to give your information to the Viper, and the Viper could just spray you through the smoke. So it really gave you very few options, and now the Viper has to play inside the smoke a lot more. And this is a huge nerf to her ultimate overall, and also, you know, it's gonna cost more to get. So while Viper's ultimate is still really powerful, this is definitely limiting the ways you can play in and around your Viper pit. And it's probably going to create a lot more situations where a Viper is able to just completely dominate, maybe 1v3 with it. Perhaps this is a good thing or a bad thing, depending on your point of view, but it is a really big change to Viper's ultimate. Next up, we have KO and Harbor changes. So Harbor high tide duration increased from 12 seconds to 15 seconds, and the Harbor Cascade duration increased from 5 seconds to 7 seconds. Overall, Harbor needed some buffs, and these are good buffs to start off with. We're going to see if this is enough, but we're gonna have to really wait and see for the big picture, especially when so many changes are being added. It's really hard to know what things are gonna look like when the dust settles, but I do appreciate they're hitting him directly and just buffing him straight up, and then they can reevaluate later on and see if he needs more. Last up on the agent list, we have KO. Knife health increased from 1 to 20, and ultimate points required increased from 7 to 8. So you're not gonna get ultimate nearly as much, and your knife is not gonna die to anything besides like a direct type of damage, right? Pretty much the same for all of these little destroyables. They're making it so if they're in something that is just doing small amounts of damage over the course of a long time, whether that's an ability that exists or one that will be added in the future, they won't destroy these things instantly. But if you're shooting at it intentionally or using an ability at it intentionally, it's gonna get destroyed. Now, if you thought we were done, we're not, because there's still freaking weapon changes, specifically with the Spectre. So the new Spectre damage from 0 to 15 meters is gonna do 26 damage. From 15 meters to 30 meters is gonna do 22 damage. And from 30 plus meters, it's gonna do 20 damage. So if we compare that directly to the old version, from 0 to 20, it did 26. And for 20 meters plus, it did 22. So not only are you gonna be doing less damage after the 15 mark, from the 15 to the 20 mark, you're gonna be doing 4 less damage than you were before. But now if you're from that 30 plus meters, you're gonna actually do even less damage than that, less damage than you were before at 20 compared to 22. So overall, it's just a nerf to the Spectre, one of the most reliable guns in the game, and I still think the gun's gonna be very reliable and good, but especially when we talk about some of those longer ranges, it's not gonna be nearly as powerful as it once was, because with how many bullets you're shooting out and how many you're hitting on average from that far range away, that 2 damage reduction is gonna be something you feel. Now, this is actually just crazy nuts. I mean, we got all those chamber changes that basically deleted the character in some sense. Like, he's probably still okay, but he's nowhere near as strong as he was before. And then we're getting changes to everything, and we're getting new maps just getting cycled in and out, in addition to the new map being added into the game. and we're also getting weapon changes, and this might not even be all of it. This is just what we have so far, what we have leaked out so far, and it's just freaking nuts. I mean, so many goddamn changes. It's crazy. I mean, Riot just like woke up one morning and they're like, you know what? We're gonna give you an entire year worth of balance patches in one day. That's what we're gonna do. Crazy, crazy stuff. I'm actually really hyped. You tell me what you think about all these changes, which ones you agree or disagree with. But thank you so much for enjoying the video. Smash the like, subscribe. I'll see you next time. But go check out the gaming website down below. Tips, tricks, guides, and advanced concepts over any of this. If you want to improve very quickly, you gotta go check it out right now down below.